RIMURU Go Back in Time by Rimu-chi. Conversation between lovesick vampire and Hinata. Third person POV. The streets of Lubelius bustled with life. Children ran through the cobblestone pathways, their laughter echoing amidst the chatter of merchants and townsfolk. Adults carried baskets of goods, bargained with vendors, or exchanged greetings with one another. It was a peaceful scene, a snapshot of a kingdom seemingly untouched by turmoil. The sunlight filtered through the clouds, casting a golden hue over the city, making everything feel warm and lively. Among the crowd walked a woman with short black hair, dressed in armor and carrying a sword at her side. This was not just any woman. She was Hinata Sakaguchi, the captain and leader of the 10 great saints, a name known to inspire awe and fear alike. Her sharp gaze swept across the streets as she moved, the clang of her boots on stone a steady rhythm amidst the lively noise around her. Hinata's thoughts were far from the tranquility surrounding her. Such a peaceful kingdom Lubelius appears to be, she mused, her expression stoic. Humans laughing, smiling, carrying on with their lives. But if only they knew, their ruler is a demon lord. How quickly things would change. And I won't let that happen. I can't let that happen. As she walked, her presence commanded respect, and the crowd subtly parted to give her space. But suddenly, a woman stumbled into her, nearly knocking herself over. Ah, I'm so sorry. So sorry. The woman exclaimed, bowing repeatedly, her voice trembling with panic. Hinata steadied the woman with a firm hand, her expression calm but slightly irritated. Just be careful next time, she said curtly, turning to continue on her way. Wait. The woman called out, stopping Hinata in her tracks. Hinata turned back, her piercing gaze locking onto the woman. What is it? She asked, her tone measured. Is there something you need? The woman hesitated for a moment, her hands clutching the fabric of her dress tightly. She looked up at Hinata, her eyes red-rimmed and filled with desperation. You're Hinata Sakaguchi, right? The woman asked, her voice wavering. Yes, Hinata replied cautiously. Is there something you need from me? The woman nodded, tears beginning to stream down her face as she spoke. Please, I need your help. My husband, he's a soldier. His name is Darian. He told me he was ordered to join the church's army, and then he left. He said he'd be back soon, but he never returned. I've been searching for him everywhere, but. Her voice broke as she choked back a sob. Hinata froze, the name ringing in her mind like a bell. She quickly masked her emotions, keeping her expression neutral. I'm sorry, she said after a pause. I don't recall anyone by that name. The woman's face fell, the last glimmer of hope fading from her eyes. She bowed deeply, her shoulders trembling. Thank you for your time, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away, her figure hunched with despair. Hinata watched her go, her mind reeling. Darian. I know that name. He was one of the soldiers I personally ordered to join the Falmouth army for the Tempest invasion. That means, he's dead. For a moment, guilt and regret flickered across her face. But she quickly suppressed the emotions, drawing a deep breath to steady herself. There's nothing I can do about it now, she told herself. What's done is done. Still, the weight of the woman's words lingered as she turned and resumed her walk toward the castle. Her steps were slower now, her thoughts heavier. Luminasama was away at Walpurgis. Hinata had planned to wait for her return, hoping to discuss matters of great importance. Let's head there now, she thought. I can't afford to let emotions cloud my judgment. Not when there's so much at stake. And so, Hinata walked away, her stoic demeanor masking the turmoil that churned beneath the surface. The lively streets of Lubelius continued around her, unaware of the quiet storm within one of their greatest protectors. Hinata arrived at the castle of Lubelius under the cover of night. The towering structure loomed above, its imposing silhouette cast against the moonlit sky. The grand halls were eerily quiet, save for the occasional flicker of torchlight and the faint echo of her boots on the polished floors. It was already past midnight, well past the time most of the castle's inhabitants had retired to their quarters. As she walked down the long hallway leading to Luminasama's chambers, her mind wandered. It's been a long day, she thought. And yet, it feels like there's no end to all of this. First the encounter with that woman, and now this. I need answers. Her train of thought was interrupted by a familiar voice calling out to her from the shadows. Ah, Hinata. So, you're here. She stopped and turned to face Roy, one of the trusted subordinates of Luminasama. His crimson eyes glinted faintly in the dim light, his presence as composed as ever despite the late hour. Yes, I've come to meet Lumina-sama, Hinata replied, her tone steady. Has she returned from Walpurgis yet? Roy shook his head. Not yet, he said simply. Hinata studied him for a moment, noticing the slight tension in his usually calm demeanor. Then why are you here? She asked, her eyes narrowing slightly. I thought you were the one playing the role of Demon Lord in her stead. I was, Roy said, his voice tinged with frustration. But, some unexpected things happened. It's not important right now. He paused, his gaze darkening. What is important is that my brother, Louis, has been killed. Hinata's sharp gaze fixed on him. For a moment, there was silence between them, save for the faint crackle of the torches lining the walls. Your brother was killed, Hinata finally said. It must be the work of that clown. Roy's eyes snapped to her, a mix of surprise and suspicion flashing across his face. You know who killed Louis? Hinata's expression remained calm, though her thoughts churned. Louis is dead. This is news. Could it really have been that clown? Or was it someone else entirely? Actually, no, she admitted after a moment. It might not have been the clown. That jester fled as soon as he saw me, so I doubt he'd have the courage to face Louis head-on. Roy's expression tightened as he processed her words. I see, he murmured. Then we'll have to wait for Lumina-sama to return from Walpurgis. Perhaps she'll have more information on the matter. Hinata nodded. Worrying about it won't bring him back, she said pragmatically. You should focus on what needs to be done now. She stepped past him, her steady stride echoing through the corridor as she made her way toward Lumina-sama's chambers. Roy watched her go for a moment before following behind her. As they walked, Hinata's mind was far from calm. Louis's death. This complicates things. And if Lumina-sama doesn't return soon, the balance of power in Lubelius may begin to crumble. Still, she kept her expression composed, her every movement precise and deliberate. She couldn't afford to show weakness, not now, not ever. The hallway stretched on, the silence between her and Roy heavy with unspoken thoughts. Each step brought them closer to the chamber, and with it, the hope for answers. The atmosphere in Luminos's chamber was heavy with anticipation as Hinata and Roy waited for the Demon Lord's arrival. The room was grand, with its Gothic design, dim lighting, and intricate furnishings that perfectly reflected Luminos's regal presence. Suddenly, a portal opened in the center of the room, and from it stepped Luminos Valentine, her elegant form bathed in an ethereal light. Her presence was overwhelming, her aura commanding respect. Instantly, both Hinata and Roy bowed deeply and spoke in unison. Welcome back, Lumina-sama. But Luminos didn't seem to hear them. Without acknowledging their greeting, she strode directly to the plush couch in the room, flopped onto it uncharacteristically, buried her face in a pillow, and let out a muffled scream that sounded oddly lovesick. Hinata froze in place, her sharp, disciplined mind struggling to process the bizarre sight of her normally composed and unflappable master behaving in such a way. Roy, too, stood in stunned silence, his stoic demeanor breaking for just a moment as he blinked in disbelief. Luminos let out a deep breath, finally composing herself, and turned to the two of them with a radiant smile, as if nothing unusual had just occurred. Oh, Hinata. You're here. What brings you to me? Hinata snapped out of her daze, quickly masking her confusion. I've come to speak with you, Lumina-sama, she said, bowing again. Luminos nodded casually. What is it? Before Hinata could respond, Roy stepped forward, his voice heavy with grief. Lady Luminos, Louis is dead. His murderer is unknown. The room fell silent, the weight of Roy's words sinking in. Luminos's smile faded, and her blue-red eyes darkened with sorrow and rage. I see, she said softly, her voice uncharacteristically subdued. Luminous, maintaining her calm composure, spoke next. I cannot sense even half a soul lingering. Louis's soul is completely gone, she said grimly. And though you and Louis were bound together, sharing the same essence, I don't think there's a way to bring him back this time. Roy bowed his head slightly. Thank you, Lumina-sama, for hearing my thoughts, he said solemnly. Luminos sighed deeply. If only I had been there when it happened. I might have been able to do something. But now, it's too late. Roy nodded, his fists clenched tightly at his sides, but he didn't speak further. Hinata, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, decided to steer the conversation. How did Walpurgis go, Lumina-sama? Luminos's demeanor changed instantly. Her face flushed slightly, her composed expression melting into something softer, almost dreamy. It was entertaining, she said, her voice carrying an unusual warmth. The best Walpurgis I've ever attended, without a doubt. Hinata's sharp eyes narrowed. She noticed the faint blush on Luminos's cheeks and the uncharacteristic sparkle in her eyes. Is there something new, my lady? Your face is red. Are you blushing? Luminos's head snapped toward Hinata, and for a moment, her blue-red eyes glowed brighter, taking on a peculiar heart-like shape. Roy, startled by the sight, stepped back slightly. My lady, have you fallen for someone? He asked hesitantly, his voice tinged with disbelief. Hinata froze, processing Roy's words before sighing heavily. I don't want to hear this. But could you please tell me what actually happened at Walpurgis? Luminos composed herself somewhat, though her flushed cheeks and dreamy expression remained. We have a new demon lord, she began, her tone shifting back to businesslike, though a trace of excitement lingered. There are now only 8 demon lords. Only 8? Hinata asked, frowning. Yes, Luminos continued. Carrion and Frey stepped down from their titles, leaving one new demon lord in their place. Roy's expression darkened, his anger bubbling to the surface. A new demon lord. Such a disgrace to the title. My lady, we must do something. Especially after what that new demon lord did at Walpurgis, exposing my role as a fake demon lord and revealing your identity. His voice was filled with pure rage. Luminos sighed, waving her hand dismissively. Whatever you do, it won't work. You can't antagonize him, nor can you villainize him. Just let it be. Before she could finish her thought, Hinata interjected, her eyes cold and resolute. Lady Luminos, if you permit me, I'll go and kill this new demon lord myself. The room fell into a deafening silence. Roy looked at Hinata in shock, but it was Luminos who broke the quiet with a burst of laughter. You kill him, she exclaimed, her voice filled with amusement. You wouldn't even be able to scratch him, Hinata. He's on another level entirely. Hinata's expression didn't waver. What do you mean, Luminasama? Who is this demon lord? Luminos's lips curled into a mischievous smile, her eyes gleaming with a mix of lust and delight. His name is Rimuru Tempest. My new prey to hunt. Her smile widened further, sending a chill down both Hinata's and Roy's spines. Hinata froze at the name, her disciplined mind struggling to process the implications. Rimuru Tempest, the ruler of the monsters. Yes, Luminos confirmed, leaning back into the couch. But he's not just any demon lord. He's claimed the title of the strongest demon lord for himself, as well as the title of Chaos Creator. Hinata's eyes widened further. What about Guy Crimson? Milam Nava? Aren't they the strongest demon lords? Luminos smirked. They're nothing compared to him now. You should have seen his dreamlike battle with Milam. Hinata stood there, stunned. The man she had fought not long ago, someone she had underestimated, was now the strongest of all demon lords. This. Hinata stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence. Luminos leaned forward, her smile growing darker. He has a primordial demon serving him, a loyal one. And I suspect he has more than one. He even stole the blue primordial from Guy. She laughed lightly, her tone full of admiration. So, what should we do? Hinata asked hesitantly. Luminos's face turned serious. Make sure absolutely no one insults Rimuru. Avoid any actions that might cause him to lose trust in me. Do you understand? Hinata and Roy bowed deeply. As you wish, my lady. But then Hinata hesitated. Gathering her courage, she spoke. Luminasama, I tried to kill Rimuru not long ago. Luminos froze mid-breath. Slowly, she turned to Hinata, her eyes blazing with fury. You tried what? Third-person POV. Hinata and Roy stood before Luminos, their heads bowed, as the weight of the conversation grew heavier with each passing moment. I tried to kill him not long ago, Hinata admitted, her voice steady but tinged with regret. I heard rumors that he killed my former sensei. Luminos froze, her crimson eyes locking onto Hinata with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. After a moment, Luminos's voice cut through the silence, sharp and scolding. Hinata, do you have any idea what kind of mistake you've made? Yes, my lady. I am deeply sorry, Hinata replied. I thought I could defeat him. I acted rashly, and in doing so, I may have jeopardized your relationship with him. Before Hinata could continue, Luminos erupted, her voice rising in frustration. How in the world am I supposed to seduce him if I can't even get close to him because of my dense-headed subordinates? Hinata and Roy froze, their eyes wide in shock. The image of the usually composed and regal Luminos breaking her poise was both terrifying and unsettling. Luminos, pacing back and forth now, continued her rant. I bet that white ice dragon Velzard will seduce him before I do. Those overgrown lizards are always ruining everything. Roy, still trying to process Luminas's outburst, cautiously interjected. Luminasama. Are we talking about the same demon Lord Rimuru? Yes, Roy, Luminas snapped, fixing him with a sharp glare. Who else would I be talking about? And for the record, even though he's a true dragon, he's nothing like those lizards. Hinata, still processing the information, managed to stammer, our Rimuru is a true dragon. Like Veldora the storm dragon. Luminas nodded, a wistful expression crossing her face. Yes. Though he hides it well. Oh, and don't even get me started on Veldora. That menace destroyed my beautiful night rose garden. But, she trailed off, a soft smile gracing her lips. Rimuru promised me he'd create a new one. Even better than the original. Both Hinata and Roy were stunned into silence. Roy finally managed to ask, he really promised you that? Luminas nodded again. Hinata clenched her fists, her voice filled with remorse. It seems I've made a terrible mistake. She bowed deeply, followed by Roy. Luminasama, I will go to Tempest and apologize to him personally, for your sake. Luminas sighed, her expression softening. That's good to hear. But be careful. Rimuru isn't someone to be taken lightly. Hinata nodded but hesitated as she turned to leave. Luminas's voice stopped her. Hinata, is there any other reason you're going to Tempest besides offering your apology? Hinata paused, her gaze lowering slightly. I want to confirm if someone I thought was dead is truly alive. With that, she left the chamber, her steps purposeful but her mind racing. As Luminas watched her go, she sighed again, leaning back into her chair. That girl is as stubborn as ever. Let's see how things unfold. Meanwhile Hinata. Rimuru. If what you said about Shizue-sensei is true, if she's really alive. I have to know. I need to see her with my own eyes. The faint hope in her heart kept her moving forward. Okay, now it's officially. To be continued.